Hi, I'm josephrlewis, and I write adventures. But today, I didn't want to talk about an adventure. I wanted to talk about an idea, and that idea is the rule of cool. But not the actual rule of cool. The actual rule of cool says something like, if you have a player who wants to do something very cool, and maybe it's a little bit outside the bounds or the norm, you should let them do it, or try to do it, because that's cool, and that's fun. And I think that's a very good rule. The rule of cool is a good rule. But I want to talk about a different concept of cool. But it's a bit of a long walk, so let's get started. I recently went to PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, which is a super big RPG tabletop gaming convention. I've been going since the first year they had it, which apparently was like 8 or 10 years ago. And I've watched the event evolve a lot, and it's come a long way. I remember in the beginning, that convention felt a little rough. It was kind of tricky to get in the building. There were long lines. It wasn't super well organized. It was a bit of a chore figuring things out. It was chilly. It was crowded sometimes and empty sometimes. It was hard to find stuff. And so the good news is it runs much better now. It runs really well. It's organized. It's easy to get into. It's fast to get into. It's easy to find things. It didn't feel crowded. It just felt full, which was a nice shift. So this was all very nice. But in the beginning, along with all that rough stuff, PAX had a kind of vague punk kind of feel to it. It felt like a bunch of nerds had taken over an aircraft carrier hangar full of space and just filled it up with nerd stuff. It felt a little rough around the edges. It felt a little homemade, which was great. They were smaller booths. They weren't as elaborate. It looked like handmade products that people were very passionate about. It was very cool. I liked it a lot. I liked that original kind of punkish vibe, but I've noticed the vibe has changed over time. And now PAX feels a little more commercial. It feels a little more official. It seemed like all of the booths were very big and very fancy and very professional and very polished, if you know what I mean. And all of the products, all the games and stuff, that all looked very expensive and polished and professional, which is nice. But it had a different vibe. It felt more like I was walking around a sort of a corporate mall full of RPG stuff, which gave me feelings. Don't get me wrong, if you're looking to go shopping or if you've never been to an RPG con before, then by all means go check out PAX Unplugged. It's very cool. It's very big. But for me personally, I found myself feeling less excited as I walked around the halls and the expo floor. Everywhere I looked, everything was equally good, equally professional, equally polished. And there were tons of fantastically polished, somewhat similar looking fantasy RPGs. And because these fantastic products were kind of everywhere, I found myself not really drawn to any of them. I used to get excited about going to an event like this because I was looking for, diamonds in the rough. There was a lot of rough everywhere. But this year it felt more like I was drowning in diamonds, which was a very weird feeling. And I found myself just sort of coasting around the expo floor, just glancing at all these very nice but very samey booths full of very cool, polished games that all felt kind of samey. And I found myself drifting towards the places that were just booksellers, like the Indie Press Revolution, Pandemonium Books, Plus One Experience, where they have more smaller products or they have zine type things, which are like weird little books that have weird little cool ideas in them. And that's what I was looking for instead of the big, fancy, fully produced fantasy adventure RPG content that seemed to be everywhere, that felt very mainstream at this PAX. So while I was walking around and I was thinking these thoughts and having these feelings, I was talking with one of my friends. He was also having the same experience, that this was all very overwhelmingly professional and therefore somehow not engaging. So I was walking around, I was thinking these thoughts, I was feeling these feelings, and I realized that there's a sort of specific power in coolness. And coolness is very subjective, but walk with me. So there were lots of these games, and some of them were very simple mechanically, with terms of rules, and some were incredibly complex, and you needed to read the whole book, and you needed to have a guide person come over and explain it and walk you through it because it was so complex. And then it might take an hour to run through it once and try to figure out how to play. Whether it's very simple or very complex, one of the more powerful functions or features or aspects of these games was how cool did I think the game was. Let me give you an example. We went up to the first look room, which is a gigantic room full of tables where games are just laid out. And you can just walk up and try to play it by yourself and experience it and see if you like it. one of the games, the first game that we went and sat down and tried to self-teach and play, was very cool. It was very complex. The rules were elaborate. There were a lot of meta rules on top of each other. There were some meta currencies, in manipulating. It was a card game where you have to look at all the cards. The cards were all, of course, very unique, and they have various powers, and the powers are different depending on how you play them. So there's a lot of complexity. But this game was very cool because it was about ninjas. And it had lots of ninja art and lots of ninja words. And you're making a squad of ninjas to fight other people's squads of ninjas. And this was very cool to me. So because it was very cool, I was willing to climb over all of these rules and read all of these cards and learn all of these abilities. And within some number of minutes, I had not mastered, but was capable of playing the game. And I was having fun, and we were all having fun, and we all liked it very much. In fact, we liked it so much we bought it. Here it is, Pride of Ninjas, from Ninja Star Games, Ninja Star Games, I got it right. Pride of Ninja, very cool little card game. We liked it very much. My friend and I, we both bought it. So, but again, it was kind of mechanically complex, but I was willing to climb over those mechanics because it felt cool to do all this ninja stuff. We then went and played a second game at a second table, and this game was, I think, simpler in every respect. It was another kind of card game. It was about doing laundry, and the art style was kind of cartoony. And I don't know whether it was intended for a younger audience or not, but it was about doing laundry, and it was kind of cartoony. And even though the rules were not super complicated, they were complicated enough that I found my eye just glazing over, and my friend was making jokes about how he could see the life draining out of me as I tried to parse the rules, and I was struggling with it. And it took all of us kind of a little bit of time to figure it out and get through one round of this game. And I was not engaged at any point. It was kind of fun. Maybe not really. And we did not purchase that game. And I think the reason was it didn't have a cool factor for me, or I think any of us. It was not ninjas. It was not a ninja squad. It was not ninja artwork and ninja, words. It was cute and cozy, and it didn't engage with us. Caveat, lots of games now are variously cute and cozy, and they're about mushrooms and teas and running little shops and restaurants, and they're adorable. And if they're for you, then fantastic. I'm glad that you have your genres of games. This is just a point about how idiosyncratic and personal engagement with content can be. So I'm just saying that in this instance, I was not personally engaged by the laundry game. The takeaway here for me, which is somewhat obvious, but I just lived through a clear example of it, so I wanted to make the point. If you make a product which has a very compelling concept, whether that's the cool words or the cool art or whatever it may be, that really captivates some portion of the audience's imagination, gets them fired up, then people will climb through and crawl through glass in order to get to the coolness because they are so motivated and engaged with the cool concept. Whereas, even if you make the path very smooth and easy, if the concept isn't engaging and compelling, people won't care. People won't be drawn to it. People won't make any effort. So, my takeaway note here is this is just food for thought when you're doing adventure design, coming up with your concepts and your visions. Ask yourself, what is cool about my adventure? Is it cool enough? What even is cool? Who would this be cool for? What kind of people would find this cool? These are all very subjective, they're very personal, very idiosyncratic, but I think they're good questions. So I want you to think about who would be so engaged by the concept, the story, the artwork, the words, that they'd be willing to climb through, crawl through whatever kind of obstacles of things like price or rules or mechanics or switching game systems to get to your adventure because your adventure is so cool. What is cool? I don't know. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. It's something I ask myself all the time. But I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out what it means to you. So that's all I got for this week. Good luck out there.